They say that when you play the whisper game, you should always remember, do not kill the whisperer. Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, and today we're going to be diving into another terrifying internet challenge that is sweeping the nation and has everyone wondering if it's just a hoax or something more sinister. We've seen viral challenges like these take over social media platforms, but this one takes things to a whole new level. So let's get started. The year is 2023 and social media is once again in its weird phase. New trends seem to pop up every other day, with some being more ridiculous than others. But this latest trend has left many scratching their heads and wondering, why would anyone want to participate in something so dangerous? It all started when videos began appearing on TikTok with the hashtag #WhisperGame. The game is simple. You turn off all of the lights, stare directly at the wall in front of you, and whisper the name 3 times. Then you wait for the whisperer to appear behind you and whisper your name back. If you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of TikTok, it's basically like an endless playground for those who love to show off their silly side or share their daily lives. And while most trends are completely harmless, like dances and comedy skits, some have taken a darker turn recently. Some people are claiming that playing the whisper game lets them communicate with ghosts. I know what you're thinking. Isn't this just a bunch of nonsense? Well, not necessarily. There are countless stories of people who claim to have interacted with spirits through similar games. Most of us probably dismiss them as crazy or made up until now. So, is this just another online stunt gone wrong? Or is there something more to the whisper game? Let's take a closer look at what went wrong and how it spiraled out of control. This brings us to the story of 17-year-old James, who was dared by his friends to play the whisper game. Being the skeptic he was, James didn't believe that a ghost was going to appear behind him and whisper his name. He figured it was just another viral TikTok challenge that would die off within a few days. But what he didn't know was that this game would soon take a turn for the worse, and his life would never be the same again. As the night wore on, James found himself growing increasingly bored with the lack of response from the whisper game. Just as he was about to give up, he heard a faint whisper behind him. His heart skipped a beat as he turned around slowly, but saw nothing in the darkness. Was it just his imagination playing tricks on him? Or was there really someone there? Before he could dwell on the thought any further, he heard the voice again. "James," it whispered. His blood ran cold. Could it be possible that he was actually interacting with a spirit? Determined to get to the bottom of this, James decided to play along and see where it would lead. He asked the voice questions about his family and friends, hoping to get some answers that would shed light on the situation. To his surprise, the voice seemed to know everything about him, and even predicted future events with eerie accuracy. At first, James was skeptical, but as the predictions started coming true, he became increasingly frightened. It almost felt as though the whisperer was controlling his life, pushing him towards certain events and outcomes. But why would a ghost do this? What was the purpose behind the whisper game, and what did it want from James? As the days passed, James found himself becoming more and more obsessed with the whisper game. He spent all of his free time trying to communicate with the whisperer, asking questions and seeking answers. But as he delved deeper into the mystery, he uncovered something that he never could have imagined. It turned out that the whisperer wasn't just a random spirit that had chosen James. No, it was something much more sinister. The whisperer had been waiting for James specifically and had been watching him for quite some time. But why? What was the whisperer's ultimate goal? Before we continue, we would really appreciate it if you could support us by leaving a like and subscribing. This helps us continue to produce the videos that you love. Now, let's get back to the story. As James continued playing the whisper game, he realized that the whisperer knew things about him that no one else did. It knew his deepest secrets and darkest fears. And then it started making predictions about his future. At first, these predictions were small things, like when James would win a game or get a good grade on a test. But as time went on, the whisperer started predicting bigger things, like when he would meet a new friend or have a fight with his parents. And here's the creepiest part. all of these predictions came true. At first, James thought it was just a coincidence. But as the whisperer's predictions became more accurate and more frequent, he started to get scared. He began to feel like the whisperer was controlling his life, like everything that was happening to him was because of the game he had started. He tried to stop playing the game, but it was too late. The whisperer had a hold on him now, and it wasn't going to let go. The whisperer started whispering to James all the time, even when he was awake. It would tell him things like, "You're going to lose your job," or "Your car is going to break down." And wouldn't you know it, those things would happen. James was terrified. He didn't know what to do. He felt like he was losing his mind. He started to isolate himself from his friends and family, cutting them out of his life because he didn't want them to hear the whisperer's predictions. He was so consumed with the game that he stopped going to school and spending time with his loved ones. Instead, he spent all of his time alone in his room listening to the whisperer. And that's when things took a dark turn. One night, the whisperer told James that he was going to die soon. It said that he would die in a car accident and that his death would be slow and painful. James was scared, but he didn't listen. He thought that the whisperer was just trying to scare him. But as the days went by, he started to worry, started to feel like the whisperer was right, started to feel like he was being followed everywhere he went. Then one day, James got into a car accident. It wasn't a bad accident, but it was enough to make him question everything. He was driving home from the grocery store when a car pulled out in front of him. He slammed on the brakes and swerved to avoid hitting the car, but he ended up crashing into a ditch. Shaken but unharmed, James got out of the car and called the police. As he stood there waiting for the police to arrive, he couldn't help but think that maybe the whisperer was right. Maybe he had been destined to die in a car accident after all. The accident shook James to his core. He realized that he couldn't keep playing the whisper game. He had to stop before it was too late. But as he tried to move on with his life, he found that the whisperer wasn't ready to let him go. It continued to whisper to him even when he wasn't playing the game. It told him that he couldn't escape it, that he was trapped forever. James was scared, but he refused to give up. He reached out to his friends and family for help, and they helped him stop the whisperer. They gathered together and played the whisper game themselves, telling the whisperer to leave James alone and never come back. And for the most part, it worked. The whisperer's whispers became less frequent, and James started to feel like he was finally free. However, the experience left him changed. He was more cautious and more aware of the world around him. He realized that there were some things that were better left unknown, and some games that were better left unplayed. So, what is the lesson to be learned here? Well, maybe it's not to mess with things that we don't understand, or to be careful of the company we keep. After all, you never know what kind of spirits you might attract. So, do you dare to play the whisper game? Or will you leave that to the experts? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I've been your host. Till next time, stay safe and keep your eyes open. We'll catch you later.